You know that feeling when your brain's check engine light is always on? That low-level hum of anxiety, the hypervigilance scanning for threats in a perfectly safe room. We usually internalize that feeling. We label it a character flaw or bad wiring. But researchers are uncovering a completely different explanation. What if your persistent anxiety doesn't actually belong to you? What if you are feeling the literal, biological echo of a grandparent's trauma? The immediate reaction most of us have is that DNA doesn't work like that. You inherit eye color and physical height, not memories or fear. But a growing field called transgenerational epigenetic inheritance proves otherwise. Science shows that extreme stress and trauma leave physical, chemical marks on a person's genetic material. Those marks survive reproduction and are actively passed down through family lines. The daily anxieties we battle might not be our fault at all. Often, they are the ghosts of our family's past, asserting themselves in our present biology. To see how this happens, think of your primary DNA sequence as the hardware of a computer. That base code is fixed, but laid over top of it is the epigenome. This acts like software or a series of chemical sticky notes that tells your cells exactly how to read that hardware. When a person endures an extreme environment, their body adapts using a process called DNA methylation. It attaches tiny chemical tags, called methyl groups, directly to specific genes. These tags act like mechanical light switches, allowing the body to dim or completely shut off certain genetic traits to help the person survive. This makes sense for the person experiencing the threat, but how does this modified software get from a traumatized adult into a completely new embryo? Laboratory studies point to molecules called small non-coding RNAs. You can think of them as biological thumb drives. When a parent experiences severe trauma, these molecules gather that stress data and pack it into the reproductive cells, transferring the acquired adaptations straight to the next generation. Trauma does a lot of damage to an individual, but biologically, it also initiates a massive rewrite. It writes and uploads a highly sensitive, hypervigilant operating system for the descendants to use. We see this play out in human populations that have survived massive historical traumas. Researchers studied women who were pregnant during the September 11th terrorist attacks and subsequently developed PTSD. They found distinct biological changes in the children born to these mothers. Specifically, these kids showed alterations in their HPA axis, the body's main stress response system, resulting in abnormally low baseline cortisol levels, which is a classic marker of high stress sensitivity. Look at this research paper on the epigenetic regulation of the glucocorticoid receptor gene. It documents similar foundational research on the adult offspring of Holocaust survivors, validating that parental trauma leaves measurable epigenetic markers on the next generation. The consequence of these markers is profound. These children and grandchildren were born with bodies pre-programmed to expect a war zone, heavily armored for threats, even if they grew up in absolute physical safety. Some of human history's darkest moments are literally recorded and preserved in the stress response biology of the people who came after. It is easy to view this high sensitivity as a biological defect, but we should also ask if these modifications represent a specialized form of ancestral adaptation. A study of Holocaust survivor descendants revealed a complex biological profile. They inherited heightened stress reactivity through genes like FKBP5. But this was paired with an active oxytocin system, the driver of social bonding, showing a biological inclination toward cooperation when facing challenges. This dual-track inheritance suggests a specific survival logic. For a species that survived existential threats through group effort, a biological message is sent to the next generation. Stay alert to danger, but reach out to the community to manage it. Because the epigenome functions as dynamic software rather than fixed hardware, these adaptations are not permanent. Safe environments and therapy can physically rewrite these chemical marks, allowing us to update the system for the next generation. The anxieties we inherit are often protective mechanisms shaped by those who came before us. By understanding how this biological legacy works, we can finally decide which parts of that protection we still need and which parts we are ready to let go.